Welcome to my list of horror director Wes Craven's top 10 movies. I've got more top 10 videos coming up, including ones on John Carpenter, George Romero, and Tobe Hooper, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Okay, let's get started. Number 10. Deadly Blessing. Released in 1981, Deadly Blessing is about a widow and her visiting friends terrorized by an unseen assailant from an oppressive religious group. This little-seen Wes Craven shocker has a wonderfully creepy atmosphere and tons of classic moments, including a spider dropping into Sharon Stone's mouth and a snake terrorizing a woman in the bathtub. Things get pretty crazy during the climax, including a studio-forced ending, but Craven's flawless direction makes it all work. This once obscure title is now readily available on Blu-ray thanks to Scream Factory and is well worth checking out. Number 9. Deadly Friend. Released in 1986, Deadly Friend is about a boy genius who brings his murdered friend back to life by implanting robotic microchips into her brain. The premise is pure 80s cheese, complete with an over-the-top robot in the vein of Johnny Five from the Short Circuit movies. This film started out as a PG love story, but quickly turned into a horror slasher flick thanks to massive studio interference. Although Craven himself pretty much disowned the film after the studio tinkering, it's still a ton of fun. The whole thing feels like a demented after-school special, and best of all, death by basketball. Just amazing. Number 8. Scream 2. Released in 1997, expectations were sky high for this slasher sequel. Would it actually live up to the massively successful first movie? Absolutely. Scream 2 has the surviving cast from the previous film heading off to college. The Ghostface murders start up again, and the slasher movie sequel rules are followed perfectly. Craven is at the top of his game here, and the rush production schedule actually led to Craven creating entire scenes himself from an unfinished script. It all holds together beautifully and is a true 90s horror classic. Number 7. Shocker. Released in 1989, Shocker is about crazed TV repairman Horace Pinker, who gets the electric chair and then uses electricity to return from the dead. He crawls right out of light sockets and TV sets, predating the Ring films, and murders families. It's up to a football jock to stop him. Shocker was Craven's attempt at creating a new Freddy Krueger type franchise. He did not succeed in that, but still gave us one hell of a fun movie. Craven's trademark theme of the broken family is utilized, as well as his commentary on America's addiction to TV. Mitch Pileggi gives a delightfully over-the-top performance as Horace Pinker, and the movie is pure 80s cheese, complete with one-liners and over-the-top violence. Number 6. Serpent and the Rainbow. Released in 1988, this film is about an American anthropologist who travels to Haiti in search of a mystical zombie powder. These aren't George Romero or Walking Dead style zombies, but instead, the zombies of voodoo lore. The film is loaded with excellent sequences, including a scene where a paralyzed Bill Pullman is buried alive with a spider set on his face for good measure. The great thing about Craven is that he knew when to take the material seriously and when to have fun with it. Serpent and the Rainbow is deathly serious and is a truly terrifying and often overlooked 80s classic. Number 5. The People Under the Stairs. Released in 1991, this one has a young boy from the ghetto teaming up with two criminals to rob a gothic mansion. The boy needs money for his mom's operation and rent money to stop his family's eviction. Once inside the house, he encounters a deranged couple who kidnaps children and locks them away when they misbehave. The People Under the Stairs is an insane horror film loaded with humor, social commentary, and over-the-top villains. The movie has been described as a demented fairy tale, and Craven throws in everything from cannibalism to child abuse. It all comes together perfectly, and Wes Craven delivers one of the best horror films of the early 90s. Number 4. The Hills Have Eyes. Released in 1977, The Hills Have Eyes is about a family that gets stranded in the middle of the desert and are attacked by a group of mutant cannibals. The Hills Have Eyes is Craven's second film, and it's damn near flawless. The plot, with inbred mutants murdering people, may seem a bit stale by today's standards, but back in the late 70s, it was still pretty fresh. Craven's trademark of the family unit under attack is used here, and it really is fascinating how often he utilized variations of this theme over the years. The movie is genuinely scary at times and pretty disturbing. It's got a raw and kind of nasty edge to it, which is something that Craven kept throughout his career. Even his tamer, more studio-friendly films always had at least a scene or a moment with this edge. The Craven-produced remake, released in 2006, was good, but not on the same level as this original 70s horror classic. Number 3. Scream. Released in 1996, Scream is about a group of friends who are stalked by a horror movie-obsessed killer. The movie creates a perfect blend of humor and suspense, and Craven's direction is flawless. Craven himself chose the iconic Ghostface costume for the killer, and it really is amazing to think that he was responsible for creating not one, but two slasher movie icons. The horror movie genre was in a slump in the mid-90s, and Wes Craven, with Scream, single-handedly brought it back with a vengeance. Number 2. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Released in 1994, the 7th installment in the Nightmare on Elm Street series has Freddy making his way out of the movies and into the real world. The ingenious premise has Freddy terrorizing the people who made the Nightmare on Elm Street films, with Craven even appearing in the movie as himself, and he actually does a great job. The self-aware horror premise predated Scream by 2 years, and Craven's script and direction is flawless. Only Wes Craven could have resurrected Freddy in such a unique and cool way. This was the first Freddy film I saw in theaters, and it's my second favorite movie in the Nightmare series, which leads us to number 1, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Released in 1984, the film is about a group of friends terrorized by Freddy Krueger, a monster who kills them by invading their dreams. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is Wes Craven's masterpiece. The classic film is loaded with suspense and scares, and most importantly of all, gave us iconic movie villain Freddy Krueger. Freddy ruled the rest of the 80s, and is arguably the most famous slasher villain of all time. As with Scream in the 90s, this film gave the horror genre a needed boost in the 80s, and really solidified Craven as a master of horror. A Nightmare on Elm Street is a masterpiece of filmmaking that has been much imitated, but never equaled. So that's my list. Picking a top 10 and deciding what order to put them in was very difficult for me. I believe all of Wes Craven's films, even the lesser ones, have merit and are worth seeing. Wes Craven passed away from brain cancer on August 30th, 2015. I'll always be thankful for the impact he had on my life as a horror-obsessed kid and now adult. I want to share a brief story about something that happened just after he passed away. It's a story I've never shared with anyone until now. About a week after he died, I was walking across a large parking lot and heading into work. As I made my way past the vehicles, I was thinking about Wes's very first film, The Last House on the Left. The film contains one of my favorite jump scares during a scene when a maniac is chasing a victim. I was thinking of this scene and Wes's reputation as a master of horror as I walked past a truck with a covered canopy. The back window on the canopy was open, but I thought nothing of it. As I passed the open window, a dog's head shot out and barked at me, and then immediately popped back inside. It scared the crap out of me. I'd like to think that Wes had something to do with that he was peeking in from the afterlife and giving a geeky fan one last scare. Thanks for the nightmares, Wes. You'll be missed.